Hi, this is Ken Renner, real estate broker here in Central Texas, in Austin, Texas, and I'm really pleased to meet up with Dee Savic from Chicago. As you know, I work with a Tom Ferry organization, which has has agents that we refer to across the nation, and so that we've built a network of different people that we know that are the trusted, experienced agents that we want to refer our clients to, and same thing for Dee in Chicago. If she wants to refer somebody here to Central Texas, then I'll be able to help her out. What we were talking about before the podcast here was the tale of two markets, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Is that real estate is not local. It's very localized. It's not a national product, and so it's great to talk to the people, the experts that are I call boots on the ground. You have to have those that really know the market plus the micro markets. And so we were talking about those markets. So Dee, tell us about Chicago and what's going on. It sounds like it's nice and warm up there today in middle of winter.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It is surprisingly warm here. It's about 40 degrees, and we are absolutely loving it. And thank you so much, Ken, for having me here.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, my honor. You've been in the business for 25 years and obviously done quite well. And I appreciate you reaching out. I guess it was just, we were talking about social media, how we leverage social
Hmm
media,
hmm
or
hmm
getting better at leveraging it.
Yes.
And so yeah, tell me about Chicago. What's going on in there? What markets do you serve?
So I serve Chicago proper, most of Chicago's north side, and some Chicago suburbs, I would say within 30, 40-mile radius, mostly north and northwest side. Chicago market is extremely competitive, and it's been like that pretty much since COVID. Chicago basically is one of the fastest appreciating cities in the United States, and out of 19 metros, uh, where can we cut the can
That's
cut we
okay.
can cut
No, I know. I saw your reel. It was good. You were sitting
yeah
in the car.
yes
It was up
so yeah
4%, wasn't it, last year? Is what I remember you
It
said.
was 5.38%
Okay.
appreciation. And so, yeah, we're appreciating faster
Hmm.
than New York, which wasn't the case, I believe, last month. New York was ahead of us. So we're doing it really amazing. And what is causing this is really lack of inventory. What is causing this appreciation is lack of inventory. We have a lot of demand, a lot of buyers are ready to jump on properties, but just don't have enough properties. And that's causing multiple offers. And so, in good areas, properties that are nice, that are priced right, will sell in multiple offers. And I just told you about the
Yeah.
situation in a Lincoln Park neighborhood where I sold a condo 65,000 over asking price, which was almost 10% over asking price,
Wow.
which sadly almost for the buyer, for the future buyers, becomes the next comp.
Right.
And even though this was completely unrealistic, right? 65,000 over asking was not justifiable in any way, and the property wouldn't appraise for that much more. It will become a new comp, right?
Right.
So sellers basically are holding off because obviously they're locked in their low
Right.
rates,
Right.
and just not willing to let go of those homes. And also the concern is if they're selling and planning to stay in Chicago or Chicagoland area,
Yep.
market pretty much everywhere is similar. It's like that, right?
Right.
There's no inventory, very little inventory, and so very, very competitive
Yeah.
market.
Hard to buy in a seller's market. It's very demeaning a lot of times with those multiple offers. A lot of hard work. But then if you do sell your home with this amazing profit in a seller's market, and you go back into a seller's market, now you're a buyer in a seller's market, and that becomes a
Yeah,
problem.
I mean, and what I like to say that yes, the affordability is lower than ever, right?
Yeah.
However, for buyers, what is a good thing for buyers who are like, oh my gosh, the prices have gone up so much? Well, you're buying in appreciating market. This
Right.
market is not going anywhere. I can say with 100% per certainty that Chicago market will
Right.
continue to appreciate. There is nothing that can happen that can turn around the dynamics so quickly. I mean, it's so suddenly that this dynamic is going to change, that we're all of a sudden going to get the surge of inventory that would cause, prices to stabilize or decline. That is not going to happen in Chicago for at least, I don't know, until rates go down significantly.
Well, something that we talked about is you don't have a lot of new construction in Chicago, so
Exactly, exactly.
that's what balances our supply out. Is we always have these new homes coming up that are continuing, but Chicago is pretty much built out, right? I mean, so you've got to go way
Exactly.
out.
That is so true. One of the reasons, obviously, we lack inventory, not only because, people, sellers are not selling, but Chicago is not overbuilt. There is no place to build in Chicago,
Yeah,
right? I mean, in order to build in Chicago, you have to tear something down, right? So pretty much, right?
so that's supply and
So,
demand.
exactly. And so we have some new construction that is mostly happening downtown. And there's a lot of actually apartment buildings coming
Right.
up. Most of the high rises, new high rises that are coming up are actually apartment buildings. And an interesting thing that's actually been a trend in Chicago over the last, I would say, 5 to 10 years, developers are actually buying condo buildings and deconverting them into apartments. That is basically how much demand for rentals there was or there is.
That says something for your rental market. I mean, that's obviously
Hmm.
what you want to hear as a landlord that that we don't
Hmm.
have enough supply, then obviously prices going up. So you said you
Right?
had a rental property not far from town,
Exactly.
tell me about that one. What is it and what's it worth?
As a single family home, it's worth about 475,
Okay.
500,000. And I mean,
What's the market rent for it?
the market rent is about 3,000.
Okay,
But as
that
I mentioned,
works.
yes, yes, it
You got
does. I mean,
relatively low tax rates, right around 2% or less.
exactly, right about 2%. And for single family homes, the demand is absolutely insane for
Wow.
rentals. I mean, as well as for sale, but we are not
Yeah.
talking about rentals.
Yeah.
You are literally going to have the way I like to do it because I don't want to go there like every 5 minutes, right? I just set
Right.
up like just like an open house,
Yeah.
2 hour slot. 30 people come in. I receive multiple applications
Wow.
and
That's
just pick
crazy.
the best fit,
And then you
right?
said a bidding war can happen on a
A
rental.
bidding war, I've had quite a few situations where I was representing landlords where we received on one property, I received, that was out downtown, 18 applications.
Yeah.
And I was telling my landlord, well, how many applications we actually need? We need to
Yeah.
stop
Just need
this.
one good one.
I'm like pulling my hair. How am I going to even sort these people, right? So, and so the landlord was asking me, well, Dee, how are we going to handle this? How should I choose? Obviously, other than the criteria, which, we always set very high criteria
Right.
because in Chicago, I'm sorry, tenants are protected species. And so
Ah,
you have to be very careful who you let in because if you get a bad tenant, the legal process to evict someone is about 6 months. And within that
wow.
time period, you're not likely to get paid. So you got to make sure you get a really good tenant in.
Right.
And we have a very, very rigorous screening process. So other than that criteria that we have, I suggested, well, let's go back to everyone and ask for highest and best. And we
Yep.
actually ended up renting that place 300 over asking, and that was only a one bedroom unit.
Wow. Jeez. Okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
Well, so once again, a tale of two markets or a tale of different markets,
Hmm.
the same thing.
Hmm.
Your rents are continuing to increase, the prices are increasing, and then you also have a tenant-friendly state. We always, when we're as
Hmm.
investors, we're always thinking about what is the climate for is
Hmm.
it landlord friendly or is it tenant friendly? And so like in the Bay Area, which has got much tighter laws, or California, Southern California, some of these the rent controls and
Yeah.
they
No.
can actually have
Hmm.
it might take you a year to get somebody out of a place. And so it's what we're looking at
Interesting.
focusing on those landlords that maybe are getting tired of dealing with the properties that are in a tenant oriented state and 1031ing out,
Hmm.
doing a tax deferred
Hmm.
exchange out to areas that are a little bit more landlord friendly. In Texas, it's very landlord. It's very the judges are like, you don't pay, you don't stay. And
I love
within
that.
by 3 days out from not getting rent, you file your notice to vacate. Basically, what you do, or you give them a 3 day. They don't pay it. If everything goes straight and they just stop making payments and you do everything right, you can have them out in less than 21 days. So basically
That's
21
great.
days from
That's
start to
awesome.
finish.
That's
So
great. Hmm.
yeah, and that's kind of way we're comparing the different markets. But the same thing
Hmm.
in the Bay Area. There's just no supply. Um, and the rents there are much lower than the price to rent ratio is much lower because the prices are so high. So yours were about equal. Your price is
Hmm.
no other words to have a payment as opposed to the rent was about the same. Whereas like in the Bay Area, you might have a $12,000 payment on a $2 million house, but you could only get 5,000 a month for it, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
and so that's we look at those ratios too. So does it make sense to go $5,000 in negative every month, or you can come out here to
Hmm.
Texas and get a positive cash flow in
Hmm.
it?
Yeah,
So
things, I mean, it's really interesting to hear that perspective because things are very different here.
yeah,
Very
I was
different.
talking to Lana from your Minneapolis St. Paul
Hmm.
town ferry agent, and she bought a couple homes for me too here in Texas. But we had the same conversation because he says, Ken, all we get is these old, built in the early 1900s, stacked up condos, and they don't cash flow, and they've got these oil-fired burners in the basement. You never know when they're going to blow up, and
Yeah.
it's like,
Wow.
well, come down here to Texas, and we'll
It's
show you.
that's incredible. I mean, hearing that you can actually get a new construction home for
We
$220,000,
just, we
all the
just,
incentives that the builders are giving, I mean, that is so refreshing to hear. We
yeah.
really, I don't even remember the last time any incentives were offered in the city of Chicago. Must have been
Oh,
2015 or
It-
something like
It's a
that.
different world, yeah. So here we start in our target markets. We start at two. We actually sold one for 189 a couple months. I mean, for there's a 3 bedroom, 2 bath house built by Lennar. I mean, the biggest, second biggest builder in the United
Right.
States. So it's not,
Hmm.
and it's in great areas. And the rents are 18, 17, 16, 17, 1800 depending on the size of the house, and the prices are between on average between 200 and 230, 240. And those cash flow, I mean, from day one, you're maybe 200 to $250 a month positive cash flow. The builders are buying the interest rates down on their dime in their margin for the sales of the house down to five and a quarter or so percent interest rate, 30-year fixed. Doesn't cost the buyer anything. The
Amazing.
investor, for an investor, that's 2% under the current market.
That is amazing.
If you'll take a 7-year fixed arm the rate's 4.625 for the first 7 years. So those numbers work really,
Wow.
really well. So we're really excited. Here we did over 500 sales since pandemic started. Mostly like this because no one could get on a plane and get out here. So we did most of our
Hmm.
stuff through video
Hmm.
technology,
Hmm.
and being here, boots on the ground. And that's my biggest suggestion to people that you want to work with a professional that is actually in the market and in the area of the market that you're looking for. In other words, a first-time home buyer probably is not going to be working with a luxury agent, right? I mean,
Hmm.
they may have somebody
Hmm.
on their team that handles the first timer.
Right.
So it's
Hmm.
important. Same with investors. There's only a few investor agents, specialists like me that actually specialize in
Hmm.
investors. Sure, I cover the rest of the market, but I'm also teaching other agents across the nation about, hey, that's 30% of the sales right now of single family homes are investors. It's a huge
Hmm.
market. And you just said it with your own house and your own rental. That's what we want to hear as landlords. 30 applications, 18 to choose
Hmm.
from, and and the rents and the prices work out pretty well. So have you thought about doing any rental sales as a finding properties for or selling properties to investors?
Well, I do quite a few of those.
Okay.
What's popular in Chicago, and I think you guys call them duplexes and
Oh,
triplexes. We
yeah, yeah.
call them multi-unit buildings. There
Yes,
are
absolutely.
2 and 3 and 4 unit buildings. Obviously,
Right.
above that, it's considered commercial. This is still residential,
Right.
and I sell a lot of those.
Okay.
Actually, I think
Great.
people are
What
getting smarter and smarter, and a lot of first-time buyers actually are realizing that
it's a
this is
great
much
deal.
better than buying a condo,
You can almost
right?
live for free.
But yeah, not only that, I mean, if you buy a 3 or 4 flat, well, yeah, you're right, absolutely. And so there, I don't know how things work with you in us in Texas, but here People can buy a multi-unit building, duplex or triplex with 3.5% down, and Fannie Mae actually just rolled out a
Yep.
5%
Right.
down payment loan,
Right.
which really makes it very, very easy to own a property like this that's going to have two units, pay off your mortgage
Right.
that you can enter with only 5% down versus if you were an investor or buying an investment property, you have to put 20% down. And prices of these typically start around 650
Okay,
now.
that's not
They
bad at
are
all.
fast. Yeah, yeah, they're not bad at all.
What would
These
those
units.
rents be on a 650?
So these, depending on if they're two or three bedrooms, I would say 2250 for a two bedroom, one bath, and about 2650 for a three bedroom, one bath. So yeah, not
And
bad at
what
all.
and how many units would be in that 650 building?
It could be that would be a two-unit building with the basement. And so now in
Oh, okay.
Chicago we
All
have
right.
a lot of these buildings with non-conforming basement apartments. Some
Okay.
are conforming, some are non-conforming, and non-conforming only means that they're finished apartments where people actually live, but
Yeah.
they're illegal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, it doesn't really affect the sale. The only thing that it affects is that if you're buying it with FHA financing,
Right.
you may have issue with FHA appraisal, who's only going to come and say, you need to remove that stove and cap the gas line. Call me
Yep.
back when you're done so I can take a new picture
Yeah.
and you're good to go, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
But it adds a lot of value because those basement units then you can rent for about, 1500,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? So that's your, so
The
yeah.
big buzzword in the Bay Area is ADUs, and they've just passed laws to
Oh,
allow single family to have more units on, and because they're so
hmm
desperate for housing. And so I think obviously having an extra unit, no one's going to be like, okay, you're providing more places for people to live. They're going to be like, oh, that's a great idea, so we're not going to give you a hard time.
That is exactly what's happening in the city of Chicago as well. There are certain zip codes where those are encouraged, and we're hoping that that's going to extend through the rest of the city because it certainly helps out, I think, everyone, right?
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, you can have somewhere between $5,000 and $6,000 a month rent on that 650. And
Mm-hmm.
then you like you said, either as an owner occupant live on one side and have the rent pay for most of your mortgage payment,
hmm
or rent them both out, and even if it's just break even, you know,
Absolutely. What you have to account for really, people are sometimes like, well, why would I buy if I'm not making money, if I'm breaking even? Well, first of all, like you said, tax write-offs,
right?
right?
Yeah,
And secondly, appreciation. These
yeah,
homes, these buildings are appreciating more than any other product
right.
in city of Chicago, more than single family homes, more than condos. And so, I mean, I've recently done a CMA for a client whose building's value went up by 150,000 in the last 2 years.
Wow.
Not to mention that when my clients buy these
Right.
units, they're renting for 1,600
Hmm.
because they're like they're in a maybe original condition,
Right.
older, whatnot. They come in, they put
Fix
20,
them up. Yeah.
30,000, fix them up, and then we increase the rent by almost $1,000,
Wow.
depending on the size. It's insane. It's really insane. People don't realize what an opportunity that really is. The opportunity is when those rents are so low to get them at that price. Because now my clients, right? Because everybody's gonna look at the help me, the number that
Yeah.
determines.
Cap rate.
Thank you. Yes. So now when we're selling that same building, our cap rate is going to be much
Oh
different,
yeah. I mean
right?
that's the way
Mhm.
apartment syndicators do their whole thing.
Exactly.
So
Hmm
you got it down. And so you've sold a whole bunch of these multi-units.
Yeah. hmm
That's a big buzzword for my clients, is multi-units for obvious
hmm
reasons.
hmm
They ease of management, having one, and then if one side's empty, the other still helps make the payment. So
hmm
so yeah, that's a really interesting thing. We should probably run some performance on that. But that's the whole point of doing these podcasts. I have a lot of investor clients across the nation, especially in California and the East Coast, and I want to introduce them to other areas that make sense because we're seeing people like my clients building large portfolios of
Hmm.
properties, but they want to be diversified into different
Mm,
markets.
that makes sense.
So
Hmm.
we've also been, even believe it or not, selling in Dallas, which is about 3.5 hours from here. We just
Hmm.
sold our first property there with another Tom Ferry referral. So
Wonderful.
we're connected up with the number one a coaching organization for real estate with over 6,000 national agents around here. So if you're looking to relocate and either here or you need somebody to help to get a relocation agent somewhere in the nation, we can help find that for you because we have people coming and going. Austin's a big immigration and migration town. So we have a lot of people coming in for their jobs and now a lot of people going off to other cities to follow their jobs. So great to talk with you, Dee. Let's get.
Amazing to talk to you, Ken, too. I'm so thrilled, really, that we connected. I really had no idea which direction this conversation is going to
Yeah,
go, but I've learned so much from you and about you, and I love what you're doing. I mean, really, everything that you're doing, not only the type of property you're selling, but also like your social media, you're so active, and
well, I
I'll
appreciate that.
definitely follow you. And
Yeah.
I feel like I have a lot to learn from you.
Well, thanks, Dee. You've been to a long time too, so I do, and you know your market so well. You'll definitely be my Chicago go-to.
Thank
So
you.
give us
Same
your
here.
contact information so they can get a hold of you.
Sorry, what was that? I'm sorry.
Your contact information, email and phone
Always
number.
best to call or text me. My cell is 773-719-0989.
Okay, so do that again because it kind of skipped.
Yeah, so it's always best to call or text me. My cell is 773-719-0989.
Okay, great. Thanks, Dee. You guys stay warm up there. It's actually about the
Thank you
same
so
temperature
much.
here.
Thank you.
So
Thanks,
we'll talk to
Ken.
you soon.
All
Thanks a
right,
lot.
talk to
We'll
you
see you at one of
soon.
the conventions.
All right, sounds good.